right, welcome to another Friday night episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and on the left or the right, or who knows where he shows up on your screen, is my carnivore co-host, Brian Damage Forsythe of the band Kix and Rhino Bucket. And we're just glad to be with you, and you just get us tonight. So we've had a lot of guests in the last few weeks. We'll have some more coming starting next week. But I think tonight we're just going to kind of share what's happening in our keto carnivore world and discuss some topics that we have been reading about and studying individually on our own and some together. So, but first of all, Brian, how's your week been?
Hot. It's
yes.
Really hot down here.
Yes, it's been really hot. Monday here in Virginia, I mean, we've had great weather for June. June's been very kind to us in Virginia this year, but Monday, not so kind. I mean, it was like 98% humidity. It felt like you were walking around in a sauna 24/7. And the mistake I made was I still did my sauna in the morning. So I got in the sauna at 142 degrees for 30 minutes. And I never cooled down from there. Like I got out the whole day. I feel the heat just coming out of my body. I was just hot the whole day. And so, yeah, I'm not doing the sauna anymore when it's going to be 90 and above. It's just too much on my body. But
that's a good day for the cold plunge.
That is a cold. Well, I do that every day anyway. That feels good. Matter of fact, before I went to bed that night, I went and just got into the cold tub real quick. Just so I could at least try to put out the flames that I felt were still burning inside of me. And so I could go to bed, because I cannot go to bed or go to sleep hot. Like I have to be cool and cold.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Well, for me, when was it? Thursday night, I noticed when I turned the AC down before bedtime, it wasn't acting right. And when I got up in the morning, but luckily it wasn't too bad on Thursday, but my AC went out, and
no, not again.
And I had to leave town. So I called the place. So they couldn't get me in on Friday. And so they sent a guy out on Saturday, and I was gone. So Shannon had to deal with it. And he gets here, and I had a feeling what it was gonna be. It was it was the capacitor on the compressor, which is that part that seems to always go out on people's units. So he came and assessed it, and that's what it was. But unfortunately, he didn't have the part and had to come back Monday. So
poor Shannon.
Yeah, there was no AC all weekend. And then I got back Sunday night, and man, was it hot in here. It was like 85 degrees inside the house.
Yeah, that's hot.
And I had to try to sleep like that. And the guy finally came late afternoon on Monday, but man, it took pretty much all night for the house to cool back down to a normal temperature just after he fixed it. It was crazy.
Yeah, my hat's off to people who have to work out in that type of heat. I mean, really do some heavy construction work out there. I don't know how you guys do it. I know personally I couldn't do that anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, even this poor guy, he wasn't, because that's an easy fix. Luckily, he just had to change the capacitor, and he was only out there maybe 10 minutes at the most. He came back in to check, make sure everything was working, and he was just sweating. I mean, you could tell he was just dying. And so he had his little thermometer, and he was checking like the intake and then he'd go over to where the air was blowing and to check the temperature there. And he goes, I'm just going to sit here for a while. It was like, because it's on the vent is on the floor, and he just sat there over top of it with his thermometer.
I don't blame them. I mean, when you're drenched and you're hot and there's no way for you to cool off, that's why I like winter better, because at least winter you can add clothes to get to where you want to be, but you can't turn down hot.
Right. Yeah. When you get to like naked, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Except unless you have some cold water to jump into.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, my buddy Steve said he's been doing, and you could try this one too, Brian, or if you're watching the program, you guys can try this at home. But he says you get the same benefits of doing a full body plunge in the cold water as you do of just getting a pitcher of water, dump a bunch of ice in there, and submerging your hand all the way in there and keep it in there for 3 minutes. Now, most people won't even be able to keep it in it for 30 seconds, but the impact it has on your body is the same if you can do it for 3 minutes.
Yeah, I heard putting your face, well, you can't hold your breath for 3 minutes, but putting your face in the water too is really good.
So I've been doing that too. So, but I tell you what, it's when you got the ice in the pitcher, it's so condensed, it gets cold quick, and it's tough. It's tougher than just being in. I can tell the difference in the temperature by doing the hand in an ice pitcher of ice water as opposed to being in my tub of cold water, which is probably in the 50s now. A big difference. But when it's 90 some degrees like it was the other night, it was nice to get in it to cool your body down, especially when I was spending 30 minutes in a 142 degree sauna. Not probably the wisest move. That's when you probably want to alter your daily routine a little bit.
Yeah,
to go along.
It's funny though. I still went out walking and running, and I usually go on a walk and then I'll do like a few sprints, like from the end of the road up. And it was hot, but it's weird. It's almost like I'm really good at adapting to stuff.
Well,
it didn't stop me.
Well, you have a lot of practice in a lot of different climates and a lot of different situations with being on the road and playing outside in hot bars or hot venues.
True. Yeah, that's true.
So, which, by the way, how was your past week gig? How was that?
It was good. The weather was really pleasant. It was like mid 70s maybe. So it was perfect for outdoors, but except for the day we played, which was Saturday, right before we go on, there's on the weather thing, there was not a storm, but just this big
the Kix cloud. The Kix cloud was showing up on the radar.
And yeah, and it had the time, the arrival time, and it was just a short thing, and then it was gone. But it was it started at the beginning of our set and ended at the end. So they had to postpone it for about a half hour before we could go on. So, so we had to cut our set short. So it was a very short set, and yeah, just like what? And then it cleared up and it was beautiful, but just the timing. It's the Kix timing, the Kix cloud.
Outdoor venues are always a gamble, especially during the summer, especially depending on when they're, what time of day, especially in the afternoon and evening. There could be some thunderbusters rolling through. So it's a gamble.
Well, this one I didn't see there wasn't any thunder or lightning or anything, but I guess there were some 20-mile-an-hour gusts or something. So they figured they'd wait till it got through. But it didn't even rain that hard. I mean, the parking lot was wet and stuff, but it wasn't too bad. So all in all, it turned out pretty good.
I think someone was streaming, and I thought it looked nice outside, but then I saw that the amps and the front were covered in plastic, and it's like as soon as you guys got done, they were rolling out there, pulling off the plastic.
Yeah, I mean, because we had, they cut our set short and they had to start late. And I think so we were trying to calculate, we cut 2 more songs out of the set. And even with that, I think we went 3 minutes over or something. So the production crew was freaking out at the end because we were over time. So
you guys are, they're rolling up on stage and you guys are still playing and they're just ripping stuff off.
I know. I thought that was a little bit rude, but whatever.
I'm sure they got their jobs and they're being yelled at to do, it's supposed to be done. So, but everybody got through it. So good turnout.
Yeah, it's a cool venue. We've done it before.
And that's you said it's up in upper state New York. or
Yeah, Big Flats, New York, which is like where the state goes over top of Pennsylvania. It's kind of just above Pennsylvania, and it's directly below Rochester.
okay, cool, cool. So were you guys playing this week?
Yes. Yeah, we're in Harrisburg.
Oh, back in your home territory.
Yeah, Club XL.
Oh, cool. That's Friday? Is that a Friday gig?
Yes. I had to think about it. Yeah, because I'm leaving tomorrow. Well, when this plays,
You'll be
left
leaving
today.
when this airs. You will be playing or have played.
Yeah.
So awesome. So tell everybody, you've been posting a lot. We've been discussing a lot about the powers to be and what they're pushing on the American public. And you posted about sugar one of these days this week. I remember seeing the post. It definitely struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Oh, well, it was kind of like we've talked about that before on here. Where, in fact, I think was it Joan Iflin? We may have discussed it with her too, about the tobacco companies taking over the food companies in the 80s, and then using the same tactics on addiction to apply it to the food. And it's worked. That's basically what that post was saying.
Right.
They had that advertisement, and it definitely, I mean, I'm sure people are already addicted to it, but that just kicked it into overdrive. And of course, the marketing campaign makes it sound like sugar's the better alternative. And, it's like, because, it's only 10 calories per teaspoon. It's a low calorie thing. And the old calories in, calories out mentality. And yeah, it's just and the other thing that post stressed was the fact that because it was food instead of tobacco, they could aim it at infants, starting at infant age on.
Right.
But there's another thing. I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts on my walks this week, and there was one where they were talking about if the mother, like when the mother's pregnant, if she's insulin resistant, if she's going metabolically unhealthy, it gets transferred to the kid. The kid's born insulin resistant. And then,
Really?
yeah. And then they said, if the child is obese before 6, then they're going to struggle with it their whole life. They'll never be able to get over that. It'll throw off their whole trajectory. Or sorry, I can't talk today. Yeah, so their whole thing will be thrown off for their life. They'll be struggling with that.
Wow, I did not know that. That's very concerning, and
Yeah.
it's even more important of why we have to get this message out, and people have to start to live their life for themselves and not buying into what's being marketed to them so easily.
Well, it also explains, a lot of people that struggle with, their weight and stuff, they blame it on their family, like, oh, it's my genes.
Right.
Because it really is passed down from the mother to the child. And but like they say, you don't have, like, a lot of times it's because for one thing, it's passed down, but then you sort of take on your family's habits too, their eating habits, and what you're fed when you're young. And so one way to stop that is, it's the same as, like, say, like the way they talk about it in Alcoholics Anonymous with alcoholism is, it can stop with you. Like, you can change it with your pattern. So it is with food too. It's up to the person to, you don't have to give into it. You can change that and at least be healthier than what you would be if you just continued on with family tradition.
No, you're absolutely correct. I was actually reading a book this morning. Matter of fact, it's one of my, it's probably one of my top 3 books. If I was on an island, there's 3 books I would have that I would just keep and reread, because this one is called, I don't know, let me see. The Voice of Knowledge. Great book. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend everybody get yourself a copy. It's life changing. But when I was reading it, reading it this morning, it goes right in line with what you were just saying, Brian. It says, your story is your creation. You are the artist with the force of life flowing through you. If you don't like your art, you have the power to change it. That's the good news. You don't have to be you anymore. And that's the maximum freedom that you get a chance to experience. You don't have to be what you believe you are. You don't have to be that anger or that jealousy or that hate or that obese person. You can recover the sense of what you really are, return to paradise, and live again in heaven on earth. And as I was reading that, I was thinking about what we've been talking about. There's been a theme we woven through our every show and every guest we have, and it's the fact that you have to have the power. You're in control of it, not the doctors, not big pharma, not the food industry. You are in control of what you place in your mouth to fuel your body. And I think we as a society would take that approach, that we have the power in all areas of our life, and that we got to stop blaming other people. Well, I'm obese because of this. I'm addicted to cigarettes because of this. I'm addicted to alcohol. Look, at the end of the day, the excuses is not going to change you. Only you can change you. And so you have to do what you need to do, which is educate yourself, reprogram your mind, reprogram yourself so you understand why you even eat and why you may have become obese. And like Brian said, and look, you do have a legitimate argument to say, well, this is just how I was raised. This is what my parents fed me. I get that 100%. I get it. But you also have the ability, no one force fed you unless you were a baby. You don't have to put what's being served into your mouth. There's other ways, but you could also break those habits that you were programmed with at a young age and start to create new healthy habits, which also changes your lineage in your family. So your future family can learn how to take back that power that you were the first one in your family to take back. And how cool is it if you're the one that takes back that power to break that obesity or break that diabetes that's just passed down, because this is, it's the gene, for you to be able to take control over your life and take control over your health, more importantly, and be that beacon of light for your future family and for your friends and family and coworkers around you.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, and truth is simple. It's the lies that get complicated, and the lies that we tell ourselves, the lies that voice in our head tells us. It's the lies that somebody outside of us tells us. So it's important that you start to realize that you have the power to put whatever food that you want to eat in your body. You're in control of that. Especially if you're an adult, you're definitely in control of that. And just because other people are telling you to do something different, like, Billy Willis always comes to my mind with doctors. In my own life, doctors have tried to sit there and put me on some low calorie, low fat, limit your amount of eggs diet. And
more whole grains, fruits and vegetables. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I was at a drugstore yesterday buying something. I wasn't buying drugs. I was buying, I don't know what I was buying something for Peggy, I think. And the cashier says, "Hey, would you mind donating $1 to the American Heart Society?" and, make a donation. We have a person here who's suffering from heart disease. Now, I can just tell you, anytime I hear any of that, I'm like, my ego response is, there's already a cure for that. It's, it's eating your health, eating this. But I also know that most people don't do that, and most people are following the directions in which they've been given by the so-called authorities. So I donated $1, but in my spirit, I know that dollar is not going to do anything. Because as Brian,
yeah, because they're funded by big food.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not going to do anything. But the lady was so convincing, and and I felt bad that the person worked there. So, I wasn't going to go into, hey, what you really should do. No, I'll just give the $1. Hey, I hope the person gets better. Wish them the best. But we have to be more vocal about this, not vocal in a mean way, but vocal by living it out in every aspect of our lives. Brian, your post, I saw someone had responded to your post who kicked the sugar addiction because of how you live your life. And we're going to have her on, matter of fact, in a couple weeks on Keto Rock. She's going to share a story about how horrible her numbers were. And then because she got rid of sugar and started to live more of a cleaner life, how her numbers are just awesome right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I see that quite often, and it's really cool to see that, when people change their lives.
Yeah, it's the ability that we have to do. So you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. As we always said, you don't have to, don't even take our advice. Don't even take what we're telling. We're not telling you anything. I know personally, I'm not telling you to go do something. I'm just sharing you what's possible, what I have done, and what's possible. So you can have hope that you can change your life around, regardless of what area you're in. Whether you're obese, you can change that. You weren't born obese, or in some cases, what Brian's sharing and what he learned, maybe some of you were, but don't you want to be the healthiest version you can be, even if you have to carry that weight around because of something that you didn't do?
Yeah, most of those posts that I throw up there are just things that come my way, and it's like I just have to share it, and it's for the benefit of like whoever wants to check it out, and once they check that out, it'll lead them to other things, and maybe put them on a good path.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, because me not being a doctor, I can't really give people advice, even though people do ask me. But so really, that's all I can do is just pass it on and try to spread the word. And I'm in a position where there's a lot of people that see my stuff, so I might as well make it be a little helpful.
No, you got a great platform. You have a lot of fans that follow you, and so they see what you post about, and it probably intrigues them or piques their interest. And they themselves may be going through a rough spot, or they might have tried everything else, and so they go, okay, you know what, let me literally see what Brian eats, and let me, he seems to be full of energy. So they start to go, you know what, let me just give this a shot. There you are. Yeah, it works. Exactly. And so, yeah, it's great. That's what we each have the power to do. Like Brian has the power to take back his decisions to himself in all areas of his life. And by doing so, he's impacted a lot more lives than just his own.
Yeah. And the thing with me too, I mean, I haven't struggled with, my weight like a lot of people do. But I was so misinformed for years. So, that's how I came into it. It's just like, it finally dawned on me how all those years I thought I was being healthy, I was not. And a lot of people fall for it. And it's scary because that, they're the lies and the myths and everything that, Dr. Berry has in his book. And yeah, so that's my kind of my reason for doing it. I just, like you say, I just wanted to be as healthy as I can, because I'm getting a little older and I don't want to end up just hobbling around and bent over and, not being able to do anything. I want to enjoy my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, I overheard Peggy talking to our daughter, and this is our weekend birthday. Trent's is has a birthday, turns 20, I think he's 26. 26 on the 18th. So happy birthday, Trent. And Valerie turns 37 on Monday, the 20th. And Peggy's like, and then our son turns 40. I think he turns 40 this year, our oldest. And so Peggy's like, I just can't believe I have children this age. You guys are old. And but what's so crazy about it, I don't feel old. I mean, when you're going through school, I remember seeing people. I remember 30 sounded like, oh my gosh, you're 30. And then of course 50 or 60, that seemed like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Go ahead, Brian, share.
I was just going to throw something in there about age. Yeah, the furthest back that when I became conscious of age, I think I was 5, and there was a neighbor kid, a kid next door that was 17, and I thought he was old.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. It's all on perspective. And so, never do you really think, when you're living your life in your teenagers, in your rebel years and your partying years, do you go, oh, I got to live now because, if I see 60, I'll be lucky. But then 60 comes and you're like, well, I don't feel much different. I feel like I can do anything that I could do when I was 18. Now my body thinks I'm an idiot when I try to do everything I could do when I was 18. So it's a little bit slower recovery times. But as far as mentally and energy wise, I feel just as good as I did in my early 20s. And matter of fact, I definitely feel better than in my 30s and 40s and 50s. So,
oh yeah,
well, I'm still at 50s. I'm 50. I'm 50. How am I? 6. I think I'm 50. I'm 50. I think I'm 58. I don't know what I'm at. I don't even keep track of it anymore. It doesn't really matter to me. I was born in 64, so whatever that comes out to,
that's
what I'm at. Yeah, it's just a number. Yeah, it's just a number. But I used to always, in my head, the picture of a 60-year-old grandfather is somebody who's got gray hair, wheelchair, or a cane, and just walking very slow. And
right.
I don't feel that way at all. Like, I'm going to Billy's. Billy's got a swim meet tonight. I'm going to that, and I'll be bopping around with Peggy. We'll have the cheers, and it'll be a fun evening. But I probably feel like a teenager when I'm at the pool. I don't feel like a 60-year-old that I had envisioned in my head when I was 10 years old, or what 60 looked like. You know? So, but I also think, go ahead, Brian. What are you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, my mother's father, my grandfather, I remember when I was a little kid, he looked like this old man. I mean, he actually died early. He was maybe, what was it, 52 or maybe 54 at the oldest. And he looked like he was like in his 70s or maybe late 60s, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I know Conover and talk about it all the time. Like, it appears that the new 60 or 70 is like the old 40s. Like, people don't look their age anymore. You people who are in their 60s are very active. They're very vibrant. They're still, they play tennis or pickleball or golf or bowling, and they're very active, or still rocking the stage across the country. I looked at the Rolling Stones the other night. I mean, I know Mick Jagger got a little bit of a setback because I think he tested positive for COVID, but man, he's still performing and has the moves just like he did when I watched him in real life.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. And you see what Steve does for fronting your guys' band, and you're just like, wow. I just it seems like age really is just a number these days. Like it's not what it used to be. And I really wonder if the people back then, I don't know if they were under more stress, or it was, or they were having to work harder, or they bought into the whole, oh, once you get to a certain age, you're gonna have aches and pains. Because I used to hear that from my older family members. Oh, that's just part of getting old. I'm just gonna.
Right. Well, it's still, people still think like that, but yeah, it is strange that like you brought that up. It's like, yeah, it's like, it is like, 60 is the old 40 or 60, whatever, the new 40 or whatever, however you say that. But yeah, looking back in the old days, but maybe it's our perspective as well. I mean, maybe they just looked older to us. Maybe, if you were around back then and older, it would have seemed the same as it is today. But and also, it has a lot to do with style and all that stuff. And, that's all evolved as well. So, people used to dress like old people back then.
That's true. That's true.
And in fact, you see photos from the 20s and, everybody's in suits and hats and, it was a whole different look.
I gotta share this with you, because off to my wall here is Peggy's mom's A Life Well Lived, and we gave this to her for her 80th birthday, or it was given to her for her 80th birthday, and it's pictures of all that. So as you're saying that, I'm looking at the picture, and it's her dad wearing a suit, her brother wearing a suit, and all these people. So I'm gonna try to I'm gonna see if I can take that off and show everybody, because well, you know what, I will include it. I will include it when I edit it. I'll take a picture and put it in here so people know what I'm talking about. But it goes right in line with what you're saying. So maybe they dressed, maybe their dress code made them look older than they really were. Right. But they also acted that way too, though. I just remember they weren't a very, my mom was a little bit different. My mom, she passed away, I think, one day before she would have turned 82, celebrated 82. But she always said, I'm a kid at heart. That's what she always said. You say she loved playing games. She loves you, little prankster. She loved having fun. And she always would say, I'm always a kid at heart. She'd always tell Trent that, hey, I'm just a kid at heart, big kid at heart. And she had that energy, and you felt it from her at times. But she also was obese a lot of her life, and she followed what the doctor said. And it wasn't until later on in life that she finally got a doctor, thank goodness, told her read the book Sugar Buster, and that at least opened her eyes about the negative effects that sugar has on your body and your health. And so she did get away from sugar. Of course, it came back, but she never got back as bad as she was. So, it's like, that's why, like Dr. Berry, in his book that he put out, the Lies and Myths, what's that book called, Brian?
Oh, Lies My Doctor Tells Me.
Yes, Lies My Doctor Tells. But our parents were raised where you respected authority, you respected your seniors, you respected teachers, you respected your pastors, you respected your doctor, and they would be telling you this if it wasn't in your best interest. And the reality of it is, that's not the case, because most of these industries, including the medical profession, has been bought out by these corrupt individuals who are just using them as pawns to make sure they profit from no matter where you're going in this wheel of corruption. And so, and not everybody's corrupt. I'm not, if you're hearing me, I'm not saying you're corrupt because you're a doctor. I'm saying what you've been taught and to go out and do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Dr. Berry even says that it's like, it's not that the doctor's evil. He's just doing what he's been taught to do.
Yeah.
So, and that whole industry has just evolved over the years. Like back in, 100 years ago or more, they actually were in the business of healing people and getting to the root of the problem. And it's totally gotten away from that. Now it's just all about managing the symptoms. Yeah,
I was talking to a friend, and I won't mention this person's name, but a relative of theirs became a doctor, and he was always talking about how bad the healthcare was and all this. They don't spend time with you. and now he's become a doctor, has his own practice, and he runs people in and out every 15 minutes. And so he had a conversation with him. He said, hey, I remember how you used to be so against doctors and how the care they gave. Now you're part of what you said you hated to do. He goes, why are you doing this? He's because that's what I got to do. I got to follow this. In order for me to be profitable, I got to get people in and out in 15 minutes. They monitor this. And he's no longer, he's a shell of a person before he went through the medical school and he was programmed.
I know it's terrible because most doctors get into it because they want to help people, and in their heart they have really good intentions, and then the industry just kills it.
Yeah. So if you hear us, it sounds like we're bashing, but we're really not. We're trying to empower you. Like, look, you are your own doctor. You're your own guru. You're your own library. Go out there and fill your shelves with books and knowledge, and live it out. And
once you have the knowledge, you can seek out a doctor that is on your side, because there are some out there. You just have to find them.
Right. And so that's all we're doing. We're encouraging you to go out there and for you to take control of your life and get that power back. And it doesn't matter what area of life that is. No one should be programming you and you shouldn't be conceding to do what they're asking you to do just because they ask you to do it. You need to know whether or not it's the right thing for you to go do. So, take that serious. I mean, you're going through this life. You have opportunities to maximize it. And part of maximizing it is understanding how your body works and what makes it work more efficiently. And if you can maximize your health just by the food that you use as fuel to fuel your body, then you want to make sure you're putting the best fuel in your body that you can, and not this stuff that's just rotting you from the inside out. As Brian always says, it doesn't have to be about the weight. I mean, listen to what Ben Azadi said last week on our show in regards to seed oils and how long it takes for your body to rid itself of that toxin. 2.5 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
seed oils are really bad. Oh.
Yeah. So we just have to become aware of who is really doing the programming. And so if it's not you programming yourself, then you're probably not living the truest life you can live for yourself, or the best life you can live for yourself. You're living somebody else's life because they're telling you what to go do. So anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I think I mentioned it last week. I went and had a blood work.
Your panels, yes. Do we hit the numbers?
I still haven't gotten my results. I'm still waiting. Every day I check it and it's like, oh, it's not there yet. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, I mean and there's an example. I didn't, because most of the time, if you go for an annual checkup with a doctor, they'll just give you the standard, blood work, which is, it's at least it's something, but it doesn't tell you everything. So this one that I got is really extensive. It digs down deep. So, it'll be fun to see it. And that's an example. Like I just took it upon myself to just go do it. I mean, I don't have medical insurance, so I don't have to pay that premium every month. So I figured it's worth it to drop this was just under $1,000 for this blood test. So, but it's a lot. And I guess that's why it's taken so long for it to come back, the results.
Well, we'll look forward to you sharing. Hopefully they're all good numbers that we can share with everybody, but it is what it is. No matter what it is what it is. So, I said something, I posted a recipe. I think I posted it yesterday or last night. And I said I'd share on this show what it was, because it was a new creation. So I took a chuck roast, and I think I told you this, Brian, but I took a chuck roast and I smoked it on the Traeger on super smoke for, I think it was 10 hours. 10 hours. I didn't put any water on there, nothing. I totally smoked it. It came out looking like a brick. But when I sliced into it, man, it was like medium rare in there. It was exactly how I like, but I've never done a chuck roast that way. So was tough because I don't know if I cut with the grain or against the grain, whatever it was a little bit tough. So Peggy took it upon herself and she diced that whole piece of meat up, that chuck roast up, into little teeny cubes. And I'll show you on this picture here. And it was so good. I mean, you literally tasted the hickory wood and every little bit that you were putting in your mouth. So I took that, just put it in a black iron skillet. I put some mozzarella cheese in there and just melted it all together and put it in a bowl. And I'm telling you, if you like the taste of smoke of something really, I love the taste of smoke. So smoked cheese and smoked beef on every single bite. It's what I did. And chuck roast is cheap. So I got a freezer full of those too, because they were on sale one time. So we bought everything they had there.
Yeah, I have several of those as well.
Yeah, so that's what I did. So I smoked it never went above smoke. It just smoked for 10 hours and took it off, sliced it, and then Peggy diced it all up into cubes. And I'm gonna do it again. It was delicious.
So what temperature did you do it on?
Just on smoke. I just never moved. I never moved the Traeger position. My Traeger just got smoke and then it goes to 180. I kept it on smoke for 10 hours.
Yeah, mine doesn't have that, so I'm not sure what the temperature is on that.
So usually the temperature fluctuates. I mean, even at just smoke, it'll go from like 150 sometimes to 200 and it goes back down, but it fluctuates between there.
Okay.
But
yeah, because I think my lowest setting is maybe 160 or 165. I forget.
Yeah, mine's 180 on mine. It goes smoke and it goes to 180 and then it's,
well, mine will super smoke all the way up to 225.
Wow. But I'm telling you, I'm going to start just doing that. Now, Peggy said it took a while to cube it all up, and I have no doubt it does, but to dice it all up. But I'm going to do another one, and I'm just going to always just keep those little smokes bits of meat in a container and just, throw it into making an omelet or.
Oh yeah.
So. All right, it's that time of the evening where we get a chance to check in with Mr. Brian Schenker of the MeatTribe channel for those meat deals of the week. So Brian, what do you have for us today or tonight?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
All right, first up, Food Lion. They've got a couple of deals running through June 21st. They're both choice grade. They've got some T-bone steaks for $7.99 per pound and a shoulder roast for $4.99 per pound. And Aldi's got an interesting deal. Their deal runs through the 21st. It's a choice grade. It's a boneless bacon wrapped sirloin fillet for $8.99 per pound. So if you ran out of bacon, they've got it wrapped around there for you already. Next up, Harris Teeter. They've got their deals running through the 21st as well. They've got their New York strips or steakhouse roasts on sale this week. So for the Rancher grade, and these are boneless, Rancher grade value pack, it's $7.99. The small pack is $8.49, and then the choice grade is $8.99 per pound. So not too bad. Some New York strips out there. Kroger, they've got a couple of deals running through the 21st. First one is a choice grade whole beef brisket for $1.99 per pound.
Wow.
Ooh, wow, that's cheap.
But your freezer's full.
I can squeeze a couple more in there.
I may have to have Brian buy some and send my way. I may have to pay for shipping. That's a pretty cheap price.
Yeah, $1.99 per pound. I was happy to see that. And then they've got another deal. I'm calling it my hot pick of the week. They've got some choice grade boneless New York strip steaks in a family pack. With a $3 digital coupon, it's $6.97 per pound. So that's a really good price on New York strips.
Yeah.
I don't have any ribeyes on sale this week, but finally, last but not least, Giant Eagle. They've got a few deals here run through the 22nd. They've got some certified Angus beef, T-bone or porterhouse steaks for $8.99 per pound, and then their brisket. Certified Angus beef grade whole brisket is $5.49 per pound, or the prime grade, $6.99 per pound. So might be worth it to drive down to Kroger yourself, Jim.
Yeah, $1.99. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I think the closest one I actually have to me is in Blacks. I think there's one in Lexington, Virginia. That's about, I think 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. It may be worth the drive, but of course, gas now is $6 a gallon. So maybe not.
Yep. It would balance out.
That's funny.
Or
Yeah, maybe I should make the brisket at Kroger my hot pick of the week at $1.99 per pound rather than the strip steaks. But still,
Yeah.
the strip steaks, that's a decent price, $6.97 per pound.
Yeah, but that brisket, oh my gosh, that's a great price.
Yeah,
Especially in this.
I was just at Sam's Club, and I think theirs was over $3 per pound for brisket. So yeah.
Well, even that's a good price. I mean, if you're at $2.99, $3.99, that's a good price compared to where they are now. Because I think Costco is $5.99 a pound or $4.99 a pound. It's up there.
Yeah.
You also need to start looking at where the best place to buy eggs are, because eggs are getting just as expensive as the steaks.
Oh, really?
So I was just talking to my wife about that. So at Sam's Club, we buy a box of 90 eggs, 90 count eggs. And we used to get it for like $11, and it is $22 now for those eggs.
It's double. Yeah.
Double.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Aldi's was 66 cents a dozen for the longest time. And then they jumped to $3 and some cents a dozen. So you're talking about quadrupling the price because of that chicken virus that they had to kill all the chickens. So you have no layers out there.
Sorry, had an alert come through. Brian, what are the prices like on the eggs that you get from the farms? Are they going up too, or are they holding?
I'm trying to remember. I think the duck eggs might have gone up a little, but not a whole lot. I still only pay what, $6 a dozen for duck eggs. I don't know what the chicken eggs are going for. I think they're only like $4 a dozen.
Okay.
But they're they're right from the chicken's butt.
Right.
And fresh. I mean, you can't get any fresher than these eggs.
Yeah.
And it's a regenerative farm, so they're eating all the right foods. They're not, being fed anything weird, and they run around. And you can see them just everywhere.
Gotcha. So it's worth the money
To
in
me.
other words.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's all I got
right
for you guys this week.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to having you next week, and hopefully we'll have some ribeyes on the pick of the week. But that brisket definitely sounds like a great pick. So
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a good one.
See
All
ya.
right. We'll see you. Well, Brian, if people have made it this far along, what bit of advice would you give someone that's benefited you to be as healthy and energetic at your age as you are? What bit of advice would you give someone?
I would say eat your meat.
Smoked or unsmoked or whatever that meat is.
Yeah. However you like it. Just as long as you eat it.
There you go. All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you hanging out with us for this Friday night. We'll look forward to seeing you next Friday night at the same time, same place. In the interim, stay safe, stay well, stay out of the hospital. We'll see you, everybody.